The old red brick walls of Bryce Hospital rise like a fortress against the Alabama sky. For over 150 years, it has stood in Tuscaloosa, silent, foreboding, and steeped in secrets. Today, many see it as a relic, a piece of local history. But those who have dared to wander its shadowed halls after dark say history still lives here, and it whispers. Bryce Hospital first opened its heavy iron doors in 1861. It was built with a noble dream to care for the mentally ill, with dignity and compassion. But war, poverty, and neglect warped that dream into something darker. By the early 1900s, overcrowding choked the building. Patients were crammed together, hundreds beyond its intended capacity, living in filth, suffering in silence. Medical treatments of the time were crude and often cruel: ice baths, electric shocks, and isolation cells with no light. Local legends claim the building soaked up that pain, storing it in its very walls. Former employees have spoken in hushed voices about the South Wing, a section abandoned decades ago. They say its air is colder than the rest of the hospital, even in the heat of summer. One man, a night security guard in the 1980s, recounted a night that still haunts him. He was making his rounds when he heard faint piano music drifting through the hallways. Curious, he followed the sound toward the old recreational room, only to find it completely empty. The dust on the piano keys untouched for years. But the music didn't stop. It simply faded away, note by note, as though someone had stepped back into the shadows. Over the years, ghost hunters have flocked to Bryce. Some leave with shaky hands and pale faces. They talk of whispered voices calling their names, unseen footsteps keeping pace with them, and a woman's soft sobbing echoing from empty rooms. One team captured a chilling EVP recording. When played back, a low voice clearly muttered, "Help me, please." Perhaps the most disturbing story involves room 301, once used for solitary confinement. A former patient named Clara is said to have died there in the 1920s under mysterious circumstances. Locals say if you stand outside room 301 at midnight, you might hear her nails scratching the inside of the door. Others claim the door rattles violently, even when it's bolted shut. The hospital finally closed in 2014, moving patients to a modern facility. But that didn't end the stories, it only intensified them. With the building now largely empty, the echoes of the past seem louder. People passing by on quiet nights report seeing faint lights flickering in the upper windows, as though lanterns are being carried down the halls. And then, there's the photograph. In 2019, a photographer seeking to capture Bryce's decaying beauty aimed his camera at a broken window on the top floor. When he reviewed the image, his stomach turned cold. Behind the cracked glass, a pale face stared out a gaunt woman with sunken eyes, her mouth slightly open as if frozen in a silent scream. Today, Bryce Hospital stands as both a monument and a warning. It is a place where compassion was promised but often replaced by cruelty. Where the living suffered, and if the stories are true, the dead linger still. Some say the spirits here remain because they have unfinished business. Others believe they're trapped, replaying their last moments over and over. Whether you see it as a historic landmark or a haunted asylum, one thing is certain: Bryce Hospital is not empty. It never has been. So, if you ever find yourself in Tuscaloosa on a quiet night and feel a sudden chill in the air, maybe you, close to Bryce, maybe someone inside is still waiting for you to listen.